It is actually.
It's actually happening. It's tomorrow. Oh my god, I need a winner pick. So I was doing my normal pre-season rituals, you know. Read the cast bio a dozen times. Read them again. Read them another time. And one question really caught my eye. What past Survivor player would you play the game most like? This question, or some variant, has been asked to almost every Survivor castaway since Nicaragua. And today, I'm using it to predict the winner of the season. I think this question tells you a lot about a person. Do you, among dozens of others, believe you'll finally be Parvati 2.0? Do you go for a deep cut? Like when Katie said that she was most like Whitney? Do you give a really long-winded explanation as to how you're super duper unique and no other Survivor contestant encapsulates what you're like? Really? In 46 seasons of Survivor, you think you're the only person ever like you to have ever been cast? Really? So let's look at Survivor 46 castaways' answer to this question, and see what past castaways have answered it the same way. We'll then take these past castaways' placements, average them, and this will give us an expected placement for each Survivor 46 contestant. From there, we can choose our winner pick based on which expected placement is the best. This will serve as both a unique way to predict the winner, and a fun walk down memory lane as to how past survivors have answered this question. Now, not to be a nerd, but there are 23 seasons worth of cast bios to go through. That's over 400 contestants. I'm not doing that manually. So I wrote a Python program to do it for me. It uses the Fandom API to make calls to the wiki and get a JSON of all castaways on each season and their associated page number. I then call the page, extract the profile, and search for the relevant question. I then extract the answer and only keep words that are in the list of Survivor contestant names. Trying to parse all of these profiles made me realize the history of cast bios might be an interesting question in of itself. If that's something you're interested in, let me know in the comments and I can happily make a video pointing out a ton of oddities I discovered on this quest. Let's start with the Nami tribe. I just think they're the tribe most likely to escape in one piece. I think they'll navigate the season quite easily. It'll be a walk an hour-long part. Okay, I'll stop now, I'm sorry. Hunter has said that he's most like Hayden from Blood vs. Water. 3 contestants have said this before: John Mish, Caleb Reynolds, and Adam Klein. So here's how our methodology works. John Mish came in 6th, Caleb came 15th and 18th, and Adam came 1st and 12th. Averaging all of these placements gives us an expected placement for Hunter of 10.4. Liz has said she's most like Russell and Sandra. A lot of people have said this before. 19 have said Sandra, and 18 have said Russell. Queen stays queen, I guess. Of the 19 people who answered Sandra, we get an average placement of 8.37, including some gems as Stephanie Gonzalez. Russell gets an average placement of 9.71, thanks to people like Shannon Elkins and Stephanie Valencia. The queen really does stay queen. This gives Liz an expected placement of 8.78. Randon is the first person to ever say Xander, so good for you, buddy. We can't look at other people who've said Xander before because it hasn't happened, but a lot of castaways have only been answered one time. 53 of them, in fact. Yes, I averaged all 53 of those placements. This includes such gems as Sarah Dawson saying she'd be most like Sugar, and Lauren Beck saying she'd be most like Troyzan, because we're both hot. Wardog simply said he'd be most like Wardog. After averaging all 53 of those placements, we get 10.99, which is what we'll give to Randon here. Soda has said that she is like the entire cast of Survivor 42. I don't know why you'd want to be like the entire cast of Survivor 42, but good for her. I invented a new category for these sorts of answers. I call it a non-answer. Soda is not the first contestant to give a non-answer. In fact, over 27 non-answers have been given before this season, with the first ever one being Benry Henry saying, "I'm like the winners. They win." They sure do, buddy. But you know what really annoys me? People who give non-answers do pretty well. Maybe there's something to be said about how answering questions politically is a great skill to have on Survivor. This gives Soda an expected placement of 8.71 and makes her our new winner pick. Tevin has said Marianne, who is the most popular answer of New Era contestants, which is fair. I love her. Carolyn, Franny, Matt, and Jemiah have all tried to model their game after her, and all of them made the merge. Sort of. Look, Mergatory is really quite stupid and I don't want to talk about it. If you answer Marianne, you can expect a placement of 8.75. Tevin also said Cochran, who's had 17 people choose them before, including Mike Holloway and So Kim. Really got two ends of the spectrum there. These contestants have an average placement of 9.19, bringing Tevin's expected placement to 8.97. Lastly for Nami we have Venus, who went for Parvati and Cirie. I mean, if you say you like Parvati, you can't really forget those winners like Hope Driscoll and Laura Alexander. What, you don't remember them? Well, joke's on you, that was a clip of Ali both times. But Cirie got Francesca. That's gonna bring the average down a bit, ain't it? Although Parvati does get Michelle Fitzgerald and Cirie does get Jam Jam. This means Parvati's average is 10.24 and Cirie's is 10.12. This means Venus has an expected placement of 10.18. The Seeger tribe is up next. Ben answered Nick and Cody. He's the first person to say Cody, and if he can emulate him, I can see him LIVIN all the way to the bank. Just watch out for anyone who answered Jesse. He's also the first person to answer Nick, excluding another castaway on the season. Must resist urge to make cousin joke. Because both of these answers are unique, Ben is getting an expected placement of 10.99. Charlie has said Spencer, who's had 11 past castaways answer him, most of them before recent events, with an average placement of 6.75. Charlie also said Christian, possibly my all-time favourite Survivor contestant. I teach breath first search for a living, I love that man. Only 3 people have chosen him before, who've all done quite well. Jamal, Jesse, and Carson, in an average placement of 6.67. I'll keep an eye on Charlie this season. That's an expected placement of 6.71, making him our new winner pick, and seemingly my kinda guy. Jen has said Rob, Tony, and Kelly. 37 people have said Boston Rob before, which is unsurprising, with an average placement between them of 9.36. Honestly, way better than I expected. Tony has been answered 18 times before, an average placement of 9.74, and Wentworth has been answered 19 times, with an average placement of 12.14. I do enjoy the fact that Lauren O'Connell answered Wentworth and then got to be her #1 ally on Edge of Extinction. Averaging these three gives Jem an expected placement of 10.34. Maria is the first person to say Drea. Hopefully she isn't talking about the super long exit speech when she's voted out. Any second now, Drea. Wrap it up, please. Thank you. This gives the 10.99 everyone should know about. She also said Natalie Anderson. Anyone answering Anderson averages 9.69, giving Maria an expected placement of 10.34. Mariah chose Nick. That's another 10.99 right there. I'm not making the cousin joke. Now Tim chose Shamar. That's a red flag right there. Except if you read the rest of his bio, he's had quite a few eye injuries. As someone who's also had an eye injury, mood my dude. Mood. You're getting a 10.99, but I respect it. Finally onto the Yanu tribe. Banu hit us with another Cochran. This will give the same average as before of 9.19. David decided to answer with 5 different contestants. Hey, just so you know, I hate that. Fabio, who's been answered 11 times, with only Nora being remotely successful, if that's what you want to classify Nora as. Fabio's answers have an average placement of 12.3. David also answered Sammy, which is unique, so 10.99 there. David also answered Russell, who as discussed before gets a 9.17. David also answered Tyson, who's been answered 11 times before, including Seabass, Omar, and his wife, getting an average of 8.67. David rounds out his answers with Devons, who's only been chosen once before, by someone who got 4th place. Hopefully David gets a better edit. This gives David an expected placement of 9.03, and I want him voted off first. Jess said Ty, who's been answered 6 times before, with the most surprising one being Shan. These 6 castaways have an average placement of 9.4. Jess also answered Gabby, who's been answered once by Franny, giving us an average of 8. Jess's 3rd pick was Marianne, who we've covered before, with an average of 8.75. This gives Jess an expected placement of 8.72. Kenzie is the 3rd and final person to answer Marianne, which gives her an average of 8.75. Q says bits and pieces of every contestant, which joins Soda in the non-answer club, my least favourite club, but does give Q a good shot with an average of 8.71. Lastly, we have Tiffany, who says she'll play like a mixture of Jeremy and Shan. Jeremy has been answered 18 times, with success ranging from Wendell Holland to Zach Wertenberger, giving us an average of 12.22. Shan has been answered just once before, by this guy. If I see Tiffany make a beeline to climb a big fuck-off rock, I will claim to be psychic and my methodology flawless. This gives Tiffany an average placement of 12.61, making her my choice for first boot, after falling off a really big rock. So here we can see a ranking of all the contestants based on their average expected placement. From the starter, we can clearly see my winner pick is Tim! Let's go! A contestant with eye problems? I feel so seen. No eye gang, we're going all the way, baby! If you want to know your expected placement, leave a comment with the answer to the question, which past survivor would you play the game most like? And I'll let you know. I've been Henry Hickman Survivor, and I'll see you at the premiere.